What up, what up, you guys? It's Blackwing2040. Welcome back to the Power Rangers Marathon. Today, my review is going to be on the 20th anniversary season, and that is Power Rangers Megaforce. Now, granted, before, I went into this, I was thinking I was going to be, this portion of the review is going to be like a full-on rant, but technically, not all of it's going to be a rant. I'm not happy with what we got. No, of course not. But there's still some bits of portions I was able to recognize, or better yet, notice, that I didn't notice when the show was originally airing. But overall, I could still say the season is... I can't. Before I go on, to the cast, this is not y'all fault. This is not your fault. This is strictly not your fault. You guys are not to blame. The cast has no part to blame for this, okay? None of this is their fault. If we want to blame anybody, we can blame the production team. That's who we can blame. So basically, with this being the 20th anniversary of Power Rangers, this show was trying to hit all non-stops and make it feel like, an anniversary season. And right in the first episode, they were striving hard to make this feel like a Mighty Morphin season. And why did they have to do that? Well, because they want to, make it feel, make some references and everything. And since, this was the 20th anniversary season, the season that comes after this is what they were kind of teasing up to or building up for. But I'm going to say that from my review of Super Megaforce. Because, boy oh boy, man. So, this season definitely has a lot of problems. A few problems I could say is that this season is taking footage from a Sentai season called Tensoo Sentai Goseiger. And with a name like Megaforce, of course, that's a simple yet generic name for a Power Rangers team. Now, the reason for that is because the Sentai counterpart, the Rangers in Goseiger, they're angels. And they can't really do a show focused around, Rangers who get their powers from angels and everything, because, that's going to cause a lot of controversy. So, that's one of the reasons. Another reason is that this show has multiple villain factions, because in Goseiger, again, if you haven't watched Goseiger, there's, of course, multiple villain factions, and there's a big, twist at the end on who the main villain really is. Here, it seems like they're trying to just stick with just one villain force, but they couldn't even do that. They couldn't. They really couldn't. Because in the beginning, we have the villain faction of the War Star Armada, who comes to take over the Earth. And then we get introduced to the Toxic Beast, like right in the middle of the season. And then close to the back half of the season, we get introduced to robots and Metal Alice. And again, it's just, I feel like when it comes to doing multiple villain factions in a show, you can't just have them all around at once. Granted, I know Operation Overdrive did this, and they had to do that because their counterpart, Bokender, was doing that too. Here, I feel like if they did, the rotating villain faction, that could have been a whole lot better. That really could have been a whole lot better. And the way how the season ends and how it leads up into the the next season, they should have lost their powers. Granted, they kind of did in the final episode, but they get regained so quickly. I just feel like they really should have just diminished the Megaforce powers completely and made them useless, and then that can lead them to getting their Super Mega powers. But overall, this season it's not that great. And the fact that, the moments in the season, it tries to be very preachy with the whole protect the environment thing. And granted, Wild Force did it, but it wasn't preachy. Like, just the aspect of how, the Animus arc, how it just focuses on how Mandalorian tricks Animus into, slash Kite to say, like, humans are responsible for all this pollution, not the orgs. Here in Megaforce, it really makes it seem the humans responsible for all the pollution that's happening in the show. But they really, of course, are being very preachy with the whole environmental stuff. It gets it does the whole moral lesson per episode in the beginning, of course, but later on they start to step away from it. You don't really start to. They're not knocking you on the head with the moral per episode like around probably like around the second half of the season. But again, like for instance, when the Rangers are in battle, they're they're really trying to make it feel like MMPR, and it's just basic. That's basically what the season is. It's basic. That's all it is. So anyway, oh, I forgot to talk about the suits. Again, the suits, they're also basic too. I mean, they're nice. They're simple. That's just about it. The suits are just basic suits. But anyway, let me start talking about these characters. So our first Ranger up is Troy. Troy feels very stoic. One thing I really wish they elaborated more about Troy is why does he keep having the visions of the legendary battle? There's no explanation of that whatsoever. He keeps having these explanations, but they don't elaborate or go into detail with that. But I will say, though, I like how they show Troy's, faith in Robo Knight, and I'll go deeper into Robo Knight when I get to him. But when Troy's alone, he's very stoic, and then when he's with the team, he's able to cut loose and everything. But still, he just feels dry. Troy just feels very dry of a character. That's really, there's not really that much good thing to say about these characters at all. I'm sorry. It hurts, but it's true. Alright, next Ranger is Jake. Jake is a great soccer player. He also has a huge crush on Gia, and he tries every amount of time in the season to impress her, many times over. Noah is also his best friend. But Jake is basically considered the goofball of the season because it's like they just stamped a specific archetype for each of these characters. Troy, leader; Jake, goofball; Emma, the hopeful one about the environment; Noah, the smart one; and Gia, the tough girl. They just basically just gave these characters stamps of archetypes, and that doesn't help. It really doesn't help. But again, I got nothing to say about Jake either. I really got nothing to say about Jake. Nothing. Alright, next up is Noah. Noah's is the brains of the team. They really try to make him feel like Billy, and that's about it. That's about it about Noah. I'm sorry, guys. This review is not gonna be perfect because this season is not good. It's not good. All right, next is Gia. Gia is, of course, the tough girl of the team. She starts to open up a little bit more because really she plays very hard to get with Jake in the beginning. But the sad thing is about Gia is she doesn't get a single focus episode. She may get one with Emma, yes, but I'm talking about a solo focus episode on her by herself. We don't get that at all. But again, I give huge props to Ciara Hanna for becoming a big, she's become such a big name in the Power Rangers community that she's awesome. And I can't wait to meet her. I would love to meet her one day. But again, Gia, I love Gia. But of course, they didn't do much with her at all. Nothing. And next up is Emma. She's someone who cares very much about the environment and everything. That's basically her character. That's pretty much her whole character. Of course, I feel like they could have put her, paired her up and make her and Troy a couple, but of course that doesn't happen. But funny enough, I always felt like that Gia and Troy would go well as a couple because they're both wearing leather jackets. But other than that, but no. But yeah, Emma, she doesn't. Emma doesn't do anything. She really doesn't do anything at all. Now, Robo Knight, on the other hand. Robo Knight, I was surprised to see how quickly he just becomes part of the Rangers side, because when he first appears, he's just strictly deciding to work on his own. But like 3 episodes later, he's officially part of the team, which I find that very interesting how that happened so fast, because back when Megaforce was airing, I was wondering what was taking so long just for, Robo Knight to just, team up, be part of the Rangers. But I realized it was actually more quicker than I thought. And another thing is, with Robo Knight, he's a fish out of water. He's basically a man. He's like a man out of time, being frozen for so many years that his whole story focus is that of him trying to get used to modern day society and trying to know what it means to be more human. That's basically his whole story throughout this entire season. And especially when the robots show up, Metal Alice has been tempting him over and over and over. Why don't you come to the side of the robots? Why don't you join us? But of course, he doesn't. So that's a very interesting thing for me to point out. And other than that, I mean, Robo Knight's cool. He's a Ranger and a Zord at the same time. But other than that, that's basically it. You can drop some funny bars, though. But again, that's basically it. Alright, let's move on to allies. First ally is Tensoo. Again, just really trying to make this like MMPR. Modern day counterpart to look like Alpha 5. Tensoo is just... he looks like a suitcase with wheels and has like 3 eyes, and that's about it. But I got nothing to really say about Tensoo at all. And Gosei! Ho ho ho! Gosei. Gosei's gotta be one of the worst mentors in Power Rangers history. He's just a tiki head on a wall, doesn't do anything, and apparently Zordon was his mentor. You really think Zordon would be proud the way he's mentoring these Rangers? No, absolutely not. Not one bit. Alright, let's move on to the villains. The first villain up is Admiral Malkor. He's basically the head of the War Star Armada. I'm just stumbling and making all these pauses because I just really can't find anything to say about these villains. What is there to say about these villains? Ugh. Admiral Malkor is your, typical villain who wants to take over the Earth. That's basically it. Now, Creepx, on the other hand, I like Creepx. Mainly, I like his design, and I feel like what they were going for, they were trying to go for a bit of a rivalry between him and Troy, which I noticed that. I just wish Creepx didn't get killed off so soon. He only lasted like about 7 episodes. If he stuck around longer, it would be great. But of course, since this season's only 20 episodes, it's just like everything's just rushed. That's basically it. But I like Creepx's design though. He's cool. Now the toxic beast that I mentioned earlier, Biggs and Bloofer. These 2 villains were made from the pollution of the Earth, and their main goal, of course, is to pollute the Earth. And that's just about it. That's their purpose. They have nothing else to do except to pollute the Earth. I'm telling you this. I'm trying my best. I'm trying my best, guys. Alright, next up is Metal Alice. Metal Alice is a robot that was created by Vrock, and she creates her own robot creations to destroy the city. And one thing I find very interesting is that, with her being, I would say she's a very formidable general for Vrock, because during the final episode, she was waiting for Vrock to call her into action, but she took it upon herself to go in and try to defeat the Rangers, only to get defeated as well. And then Vrock just leaves her for dead. I was just like, wow. That's cold. That is really cold. And speaking of Vrock is very Vrock is what you could say he's the real true villain of Megaforce, because he's appointed to these many different factions because he's the one that told Admiral Malkor that we can use these toxic beasts as allies to help us take over the Earth. And then when our Admiral Malkor was, in a cocoon trying to gain more power, he was siphoning Malkor's power to the robots. So Vrock had his own agenda to get done. So pretty much Vrock was the main villain of Megaforce. And he's sly, he's conniving, he's very manipulative, as you can see. And I think that's probably his main selling point as a villain. And that's about it. Other than that, that's all the characters. I really, as you can see, guys, there's not. I tried my best to find some good things to bring up about Megaforce, but I cannot find anything good to say for the life of me. I'm really sorry, but I did the best I could. Megaforce, it's trash. It's trash. It's really trash, guys. I'm sorry. But in the comment section below, what did you think of Power Rangers Megaforce? What did you like about it? If you did have anything that you liked about it, what did you dislike about it? And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And click that bell to be notified. And stay tuned for the next review, because we all know I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it, but I have to. Stay tuned for my review of Power Rangers Super Megaforce. Until then, I am Vengeance, I am Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden, and may the power protect you. May God have mercy on my soul with that review.